Also known as TikTok. And, oh, wow, already here. Cheryl, how are you, dear? It's good to see you. Good evening to all of you truth tellers. We're all like a family. You know, we are becoming like a family, especially those of us in the Discord, as we were just going back as I was preparing, making fun of each other's age. And I'm sorry that I look much younger than I am, apparently, according to I hope Ro doesn't get upset, but Ro from War Campaign, we were talking, and he said we're messaging over, I think it was in Signal, and he guessed my age as 32, and I'm like, cheers, brother. Not even close, but appreciate it. Anyways, good evening to all of you, and I hope you all have your drink of choice. I'm discovering yet another wine, which is called, I don't know, it's a Pinot Grigio. It's got a picture of a mermaid, and it's Pinot Grigio. That must mean it's good. I bought a t-shirt for my husband, says, I will fight for you until you wake up. That is an amazing message, and that I think definitely embodies the spirit of what we're all trying to do, right? Avril, perfect timing. Good evening. Finished my masterclass not long ago. Okay, well, I pushed it back a half hour, so I'm glad that you were able to make the best of it. Good news. I got some good news today. Today, this book, apparently, I don't want to say the name of the company right now, but it's making the rounds in a trucking company in southern Ontario, not the company that I have a contract with as an owner-operator. For those of you who are in trucking, you know I'm a dedicated owner-operator. But another trucking company that's quite large, this book is doing the rounds and has been changing minds and opening hearts to people, you know, amongst the admin of that company. A couple of people that it makes them realize exactly what the Freedom Convoy was, and the best compliment, the book is not anything what they thought it would be, and they were quite touched by it. So the book seems to be doing its job in waking people up and bringing people together, and if we continue to do that with t-shirts like the one that Cheryl bought, then we will triumph over time. So anyways, for anybody who asks, by the way, it's honkingforfreedom.com. A lot of you know that already, but it's also now available on Apple Books. So it's Amazon, Kobo, Etsy, and Apple Books is where you can get it. Don't ask about the audiobook yet. That's coming, but that's going to be in line with something that I have planned during the summer, that hopefully some of you will be around and be in attendance. Tao, what's up, brother? I thank you. I got your message about K9 and helping her be a mod for one of the channels in the Discord. So I'm going to need you to show me how to do it. But I appreciate it. Avril, you still need to get a copy. Yes, you do. Honkingforfreedom.com. I promise you, Avril, everybody tells me at least one or two parts of the book, it brings a tear to your eye. So if it does that, then I feel like I've accomplished something. So let me know if you get it, because I want to know your feedback and if it has that effect. Prairie Sun, good evening as well. Still waiting for it to come out on audio. Lisa, I told you not to say that. Lisa, it's a short read. It's only a 3.5 hour read. Like, it's not, it's not War and Peace. It's not a massively academic work, but I got it. I get you. I'm gonna be working on it. You will have it definitely before the end of the year and probably towards summer. Okay, I know you worked. Me too. I get it. I do all my books in audiobook form as well, so don't feel bad. I'm in the same way. Avril gets a star because Avril just put, I'm ordering it on Amazon right now. Okay, so Avril, you're gonna get the book. Now you're committed to reading it and letting all of us know in the Discord, because I think you're in there as well, and all of us here, what you think. And I'm really interested to see what sort of emotions people go through as they're reading the book. I'm interested to see that. So thank you. That's awesome. Okay, so we'll talk about a few things tonight. I just threw down some notes for all of us. It's been a really busy week for me. You know, some people ask me, are you going to do a live stream in the morning, certain days and whatever? And I was planning, but I'll give you an idea. Like when I went to the States Sunday, Monday. And I was going to be back by 8 o'clock on Monday night, do a little bit of work, just relax, get things organized, and then go out the next day. Had a meeting planned. I was going to do a live stream, have a meeting, get in the truck, drive until late at night. I was going somewhere farther. I would get there at like 12 o'clock at night, wake up at 5 in the morning, do the unloading, go to my back haul, come back to Toronto. That's kind of the flow that I have. And I leave on Sunday. I've never had this. I waited 6 hours to unload after I woke up at 5 in the morning. And then I go to my back haul, and I waited 6 hours to get loaded. And, you know, the loads that I always go in and out, trailer switch, like really quick. I've never had that. So I got home at, 4:30 in the morning, and you have to wait 8 hours in Canada after a shift, before you can drive again. And, 7 hours and 55 minutes, I was back at my truck waiting for the time to count down before I could go out and go down to Connecticut. So it was a really busy week, so I do apologize, but I'm here now, and I may do one tomorrow morning or the morning after. Marcella, good. Hello, everyone. Ben, how long will this live last so that I may tell Andrea? She's in a course. I'm sure she'll want to participate too. I'll be here, I don't know, an hour or so, like a normal, I don't know, till you guys get bored and don't want to hear me talking anymore. All right, let's get to to some of the meat of what I wanted to talk about. So I mentioned in the title CTV. I'm referring to Glenn McGregor. Glenn McGregor was the idiot who was stalking my hotel room in Ottawa. And just so you guys know, the way mainstream media works in Canada, CTV and Global are affiliated with the Conservative Party. CBC and the others are affiliated with the Liberal Party. That's just kind of how it works, right? And I go on to TikTok, which I kind of use, not very much, but we're on it right now live, just so I can populate it until TikTok is eventually banned. And who do I see comes up on the list of keeps checking my profile over and over again in TikTok, like every time? Punchy McGregor. That's right, Hitchhiker. Punchy McGregor is on TikTok, which right away is a concern, but he's in the same, I think is that the same organization as that other girl who got fired, whatever her name is? What's her name? I already forgot her name. The redhead girl. The TikTok girl. The journalist. What's her name? Somebody knows. She's a Canadian. Was a journalist. She got fired. She did like TikTok videos or something. What was her name? Anyways, whatever. Rachel Crymore. Oh, is that her name? No, it's not Crymore. It's something else, but something like that. Yeah, Rachel Crymore. So they work for the same company, I think. I don't really know. I don't watch fake news. So, I mean, I'll grab little clips of it so I know what kind of, BS they're spewing, but I don't actually watch it intentionally. And, but yeah, Glenn McGregor keeps checking me out on TikTok. And, I'd hate to tell him, sorry, Glenn, I'm not your type. It's just, that's not the way it is. Some of the girls I've dated will explain that to you. But anyways, no, she worked for Global. Well, what's the difference? What's the difference? Same BS, same 5 news stories every day. It's all fake news, right? So yeah, I don't know why. If any of you are on TikTok, if you want to go on to find Punchy McGregor and ask him why the hell does he keep checking out my TikTok? Like, what's he looking for, right? Like, it's so. And it's funny. It's like, during the convoy, they were so desperate to talk to me, and I froze them out. And I froze them out intentionally. That was part of the strategy that some of the other idiots who know nothing about media couldn't wrap their heads around. And I had to keep fighting them off. And it worked. It worked to because if you remember the beginning of the convoy, legacy media wasn't talking about the convoy. They were ignoring it. that's why I kind of power boosted, super saiyan, whatever you want to call it, got a lot of attention in alternative media. And I knew at some point they would have no choice but to try to cover us. And, you know, I've told many times that story of when they wanted to go do a news conference. It was Tamara and Peckford. Peckford, by the way, the chair of TBOF, and that's going to be a nightmare for him in the near future. But Tamara and Peckford insisted on going to do a press conference and inviting legacy media. They spoke for 10 minutes, and then what's the first thing as soon as they finished? What was it? It was Punchy McGregor fueling and spewing total horseshit, right? It was, you know, they don't ask questions. They make accusations in the form of a question, right? And then now you're having to fight against a fake accusation. So now you're already in you're no longer in the dominant position of negotiating, which is what that is, which is why I would not allow them to go to legacy media. But those idiots wouldn't listen to me. All right. And so they finish, and what does Punchy say? The first thing, he starts screaming, what about all these rumors of guns and whatever? It's complete fabrication. It was complete nut. And they were unprepared for it. So they just ended the press conference right there and then. They looked really bad. Tamara and Peckford looked really bad. And when I saw, I wasn't talking to Tamara, I was talking to one of them afterwards, and I said, what'd I tell you? What'd I tell you? I know exactly how they work. I know exactly their strategy. You didn't listen to me. You didn't listen to me, and that's what happened. Right? But anyways. So anyways, why am I bringing this up? Why am I bringing this up now? So they were so desperate to talk to me when they had this fake narrative of guns and all the other bullshit that they spewed about the convoy. And, but now, if you noticed, crickets. I don't, you know, I have them lurking and following me on TikTok, but no media requests, no, they're not contacting me. And in their defense, I also do have a filter on my email that puts, if somebody types, I'm a reporter with, my filter automatically moves it in the trash, but that's another case. But there's been no real concerted effort to reach me, I don't think. And why wouldn't they do that? Well, think about it. Seeing everything that's going on since the commission and now, and more people are now aware that there was a lot of games that were being played behind the scenes with a lot of people tied to politics. I know who these people are, and I know their strategy, and I know how they operate. How dangerous would I be if I was going to legacy media and responding to their accusations in a forum where I was in the dominant position and I could tell all of you and everybody at home exactly what happened at the Freedom Convoy, right? How dangerous would that be? They can't. They can't have me have complete access to them and to talk about all of these things that would make them money, because what makes money? Controversy. That's what they're all looking for. Well, the controversy is right in front of their faces. I've been talking about this stuff on this stream here, and all of you know what's going on. And believe me, which we discovered in the past couple of weeks, there's a lot more you're going to find out about. It's really crazy what's been going on. But isn't it interesting when they pick and choose, when they're desperate for, and that's always the senior editors, right? And anyways, fun fact, I found out later, Andre Lacassie, the social media extremist who Bulford helped catch going to the convoy with a weapon, did not have a firearm. The cops gave Bulford the wrong info. Oh, okay. All right. So there you go, Tao. More nonsense, right? Agreed. Hey, Hitchhiker leads to Tao. Yeah, everybody from the Discord's now coming in the chat here. Tao, we're going to have to figure out how to do the You have to teach me how to do the multi-stream within the Discord, so people can come in and ask questions, and we can have some talking sessions. I think we're starting to get close to enough people in the Discord beta testing to do that. And anybody who's here who wants to be in the Discord, then by all means let me know. Now let me see something. I think we're having an issue here. I don't know why, but I got to do some tech support issues, and then we'll get into the next thing. I don't think the encoder is working properly for some reason. Let's switch to studio. Yeah, the encoder's not playing properly for whatever reason. Is it? Switch to RMTP settings. Sorry, I have to do.
In the United States,
you'll hear that in a second. Still doing technical support right here. All right, whatever. Whoever sees it sees it. By the way, we're also streaming on Rumble. So for those of you, I should actually post that on there. Let me just make sure it's working, and if it is, I'm gonna put that in Rumble and get to the next thing. Okay, it's not working, eh? This is the problem. I should be streaming. You know, I've got to tell. I don't know what's going on with this thing. I use this streaming software called switch to studio. Let's try this now. Enter studio. Hold on, I'm gonna just give this a shot here because it hasn't been working properly, and I want to make sure it's working properly. Studio, allow, okay, and okay, we're gonna have to do it manually. Enter studio. Yeah, so part of the problem with doing all this stuff is you get into this groove where you have a system and you have a process, and then all of a sudden, when you're trying to do it, everything collapses. And it always does that in the middle of a stream. And I can tell by the number of people watching that it's not accurately going to all the platforms that are linked to it for some reason. I don't know why. But anyways, it is what it is. We'll just leave it be. Okay, whoever's here is here. Whoever can see it, and that's basically it. All right. That's Glenn McGregor and fake news, and why fake news will not. What they do is they don't get involved in talking to people that they know they either can't control the narrative, or they can't predict exactly what the person is going to say, or they will get challenged with their assertions. Like, you don't think I would tear Punchy McGregor a new a-hole if he tried any of that bullshit with me? Edge of Thoughts of Idea. Hello, good evening to you as well. The only firearms brought was knuckle rockets. Sorry, door was open for that. That's awesome. The RCMP painting firearms came after. You know what's funny about that? I remember when that happened, and when somebody told me about it, oh, there's a truck coming with firearms, I automatically respond, okay, call Swiss, get them to call the police right now, keep calling the police over and over again. And somebody said, yeah, they're already dealing with it, and Bulford was dealing with it. Okay, fine, at least somebody's dealing with it. But I remember thinking, is this actually true? Is this a setup? I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what was true? Half of it was all bullshit, right, Bridget? Bridget is here right now. She knows. She was there with me, and not with me. We were both there, but on opposite ends dealing with stuff, and we both saw all the BS that was going on. Okay. So, next, before I get to the videos, Nostr and Snapchat. Do you know what Nostr is? Nostr is, I think, important. I finally joined. What Nostr is it is like Twitter, but it's decentralized. It's on a blockchain, and it operates, it's like Twitter, but it's completely censorship resistant. It uses a wallet address, and that becomes your login for Nostr. All the Bitcoin people have been using it since it started. I don't like to get into, me and Caribou were talking about it today. I don't like to adopt these things right at the beginning. I want to make sure that's a little bit more simple to use. There's not a lot of programming involved. And now there's finally an application on iOS and on Android. It's basically a client. What does that mean? So a client means it's a piece of software that you can input your data and it will operate as an application for the platform you're using. So the client for Nostr, it's Nostr, by the way. You can download it in the iOS store. It's called Damus. Damus is the name of the software. The reason I'm telling you that is I'm getting a little bit tired of the shadow banning on Twitter and the butthurt locker Tom, Humpty Dumpty crew of losers that are constantly trying to brigade my account and report my account so nobody sees it and all that sort of stuff, right? So I need to figure out others. I like Twitter and I'm not leaving Twitter, but I also want to have another platform that's available. So Nostr, because it doesn't have all these censorship tools, and it looks just like Twitter. That's what Nostr looks like. I strongly recommend, I like to invest in all these other platforms because you never know what you're going to end up using. And because it uses a client, like the client is the login, it's like the shell to show you the data, there's going to be different clients available. And you may find ones that you like and don't like. Twitter used to have a lot of different clients that I used many years ago when I used to use Twitter a lot in like 2010. So if anybody wants to get into it, I'm going to share it on the Discord. If anybody wants help, let me know. Probably a good place for you. And then the other one I tried was Snapchat. While I was waiting for 6 hours, I did a bunch of work, and then sometimes, Bridget knows, you have a long day of driving, and then you only have a few hours sleep, and then you're waiting for another 4 or 5 hours in the cab of your truck. Sometimes you want to go take a nap. Sometimes you just don't want to use your brain. You're just tired. You're tired about thinking strategy and thinking about, legal stuff or meetings that you have to have and whatever. Sometimes your mind just needs a break. So I gave my mind a break and I downloaded Snapchat because, there's some mindless nonsense, right, that I'm not going to be thinking. And so if you're on Snapchat, don't hesitate to add me. What was really interesting is we see the addictive tendencies of, the addictive structure of TikTok. I don't really find TikTok addictive. I barely use it. I don't understand what people see in it. But Snapchat has this whole video thing part of it, and now I can see where the addictive part is, because the Snapchat one is not the degeneracy of TikTok. It's actually, there's a lot of fun stuff. I watch a lot of car stuff. I watch a lot of car videos, truck videos, stuff like that. And their algorithm for, getting me interested in watching their stuff, I could see, it got to the point where I had to turn it off. I'm like, okay, now I understand how people get addicted to these apps. But if you're on Snapchat, then send me a thing. It's the same username as everything else. But anyways, so that's it. So I'm tired of getting a little tired of the brigading by certain people that are not going to like what happens over the next 6 months, year. And they do a lot of that on TikTok, on Twitter. They do the brigading. So Nostr is another option. All right. Let me know your comments and I'll get on to this video. Now they knew where the freight was. No trailer full of guns, ammo isn't 100% tracked. This is true. This is true. It's kind of like hazmat or high risk, or I once took a trailer full of Samsung phones. So the value of the trailer was something like $10 million, and because of that, I had a security team that was guiding me. So or undercover police officers, whatever, or retired police officers, private security, something like that. And so yeah, that is completely true. Bridget, we saw how much horse shit was there, right? There's a lot of it. There are a few allegations weapons were planted at Coots. I've heard that. I've yet to go get the full story, but it isn't just the usual wackos saying it. Yeah, that's I've tangentially I've heard of that as well. Bridget might know a little bit more about it. The 4 guys who've been arrested, that there are credible people now saying that they were completely set up, which would be very disappointing. And I hope some people, lose their jobs and their careers if that's the case and happens. All right, I want to get into something that this was the tweet that Scott Adams just retweeted me about a couple of hours ago or something like that. Why am I running out of RAM here? Everything is choppy. 1 second, everybody. Let me just fix this for you. I think that's that. Let me know if it looks choppy, and if it is, if it gets better. I'm just trying to do tech support once again while we're in the live stream. Talk amongst yourselves. What a horrible thing to say in a live stream, right? The woman was released without charges. I guess that's in could. And I can close this. So I'm not going to be able to test this. Okay, let me go to shut this. Oh, of course, because it's Facebook. By the way, Facebook is the worst. Facebook mines all your data, just like TikTok does, but at least they're not the communist government. They're just, communists in California, right? Isn't she the one that has the, okay, Bridget, isn't she the one with the hours of video of police planting? There's somebody who has hours of video of that? That's concerning, big time. Let me shut this down. Yes, she is. Did I read that the RCMP planted a gun at Coots? Yes. Lots of people have been saying that for quite some time. All right, I understand why I'm having technical problems. Everything is like, let me know if you can't see me, because everything is really, really slow here. And I'll find a posting for you, BJ. Okay, thanks, Lisa. I appreciate it. Okay. I think, the reason I don't want it to be slow is because I got to play a video for you. And if I play the video and my RAM is being all used, then you're not going to be able to see it. So let me fix this. After 2 weeks of having a nightmare with Apple clearly has become a Windows Vista. I don't understand what's happened to Apple, but really, really disappointing. It's been the worst. Okay, let's see. Memory here. Ecamm is using 18 gigabytes. Fine. Twitter, Safari content. I don't think we're having a kernel panic. Why? I don't understand. There's nothing. Oh, wait. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hold on, everybody. Might have a big problem. No? Okay, I don't understand why the computer is running so slowly. Let me know if you can't see this, because I don't understand that doesn't. Sorry, I gotta fix some stuff. 1 second. I'm just gonna close every process that's being operated, and then we're gonna get into. And this is related to what we've all been dealing with in terms of these narratives. And one of the narratives is the whole, weapons, that there were no weapons, but there are some people. It's funny. They want to say that there's weapons, but they knew there wasn't. So what do? What the media always does. They qualify it with, oh, many people have asked questions, or there are rumors, or people have suspected that, right? Whenever the media does that, it's completely deceptive, and it's not actually true, and that's what we were dealing with. Okay, why is, you know what I'm gonna do? Let me close Safari. Sorry, guys. This is I know this is really exciting for everybody who's on locals too, who doesn't have to endure this. So maybe I'll just talk to the locals people. And if you're not on locals, honkingforfreedom.locals.com. Okay, I closed something big that was just taking a lot of memory. Proton, let's shut that. and notes and clean my Mac. Sorry, I just gotta close every process. And then we're gonna get into, if you're on locals, you can open up the very first link and watch that link, because we're gonna talk about that in a second, because that's actually quite important compared to what we're, and it's relevant to what we're gonna talk about in a second. Okay, I think we're back and running properly. Yeah, looks like, all right. I did something and I shut something off, and now now we're operating normally. Okay, so let me go back to this note, and I'm gonna try to do this without us having to listen to a commercial. I'm gonna check these two links. Sorry, I just got to reboot this, and we're gonna talk about the idea of, I really like this because this will better inform you what I've been working on since the convoy ended, and the commission as well. And it's this whole premise, and there, got Scott Adams up, he's going to talk about it. It's this whole premise of, how do you correct the record in the public square, right? Because we've all seen, all of you who are here who know me, have all seen, forget the defamatory statements and the whisper campaigns, but the lies that have been perpetuated by the people who sabotaged us in Ottawa, right? And they tried to engage with what's called narrative poisoning. So this is something that the BBC was experts at doing all through the 80s and 90s, which was the first story, or the first narrative around the story, becomes the facts, irrespective of what the actual facts show afterwards. If somebody does a deep dive, that's no longer important. It's just the narrative becomes the story. And that's exactly what they were doing with this bullshit fantasy of, there was a deal. There's no deal. Making fun of the idiots moving their trucks. Bridget knows, right? Bridget has a text message that she was going to send me, that she sent to a bunch of them saying, "Who's moving trucks? I didn't agree to moving any trucks. Don't move any trucks," right? That was from Bridget, right? Sounds like it was a process that was associated with your mic. It could be. Sounds a bit different all of a sudden. Oh, okay. Maybe I'll check that. Anyways, at least it's working now. That's all that really matters. Okay. So they use this tactic of narrative poisoning, and that's what certain people are still suffering from. The people who are still in the echo chamber of circumstances, and there's two echo chambers, right? And then there's the truth. One echo chamber is the liberal echo chamber, that it was pandemonium and Mad Max and people dying on the streets. The other echo chamber is the Conservative Party cult echo chamber, that it was peaceful, then it got out of hand. And then there's the actual truth, which was, no, it was a little bit chaotic in the beginning because we were overwhelmed, but it was peaceful, and it got more peaceful as time went on because there were more dance parties and there was more people coming to celebrate on the weekends. And if you know anybody who is an Ottawa resident, please let me know, because I want to reach out to a bunch of the Ottawa residents who are supporters of ours. And I know there's a lot of them, because I saw them in the drone footage of that mob of tens of thousands of people in Ottawa. Those people were supporters of ours, and they lived in Ottawa. Lisa, perfect. We're going to need to talk, because I need to get a group of people, because we're going to fight back. They want war, they're going to get war, and that's but that's going to be down the line a little bit, but I want to reach out. Lisa is an Ottawa resident, and she was there every day. And Lisa, let me ask you something. Lisa's on Locals. Are you embarrassed to tell people that you were part of, that you were supportive of the convoy? Do you have a problem telling people that, no, the truckers were amazing and I supported them? Hell no, I tell everyone. Lisa, I love you. I'm going to see you when I come to Ottawa. I was going to go this weekend. I think I'm going to go next weekend now. Peaceful. I've never been hug mobbed so much. Exactly. So there's the actual truth, and then there's a narrative poisoning that comes from both sides of the trashy political side, the political establishment, right? So what we need to do is we need to come through the middle with the truth. So my testimony at the POEC was just step one. And it was step one of a multi-year plan. It's not something that's going to happen today over time. It's going to eventually the truth always wins. And it takes a long time for the truth to come out. I've talked about that many, many times. So I was listening to Scott Adams' podcast while I was in the truck, and this was so amazing. I posted a tweet about it, and I'll read the tweet. I'll put it on the screen here, and then I'll show you. This was Scott's tweet, and let's cancel that update. All right, Scott's tweet. This is what I put. I said, this is a quote from Scott Adams, which we're going to see in a second. What's the general time it takes for a fake story to be clarified accurately? I'd say 1 to 5 years. Now, and then, so I posted his comment and this video that we're going to watch, and then I followed up with, when I started my Honking for Freedom strategy, I did so under the assumption it would take 1 to 3 years. But 5 years is possible. If you are an Ottawa resident, Lisa, who attended and supported the Freedom Convoy and would like to join our Discord, please send me a DM. And because I put the Discord because we're going to need to communicate together on this issue in the near future. Okay, I just got some more updates. All right, so let's watch this little video with Scott. Angel Fire, you can't lose with the truth. And you put all those truth quotes up every day. All these fake narratives need to be wiped out with it. They will. And that's the thing. You fire one shot and they all crumble. All of them, which is what I'm trying to line up. But it's going to take time. All right. So let's go and let's take Scott's perspective on this, which I find very valuable. Okay. Let me turn the volume up. So you will be able to hear it on this TikTok as well. And you already have the link, Lisa, in locals. So this is about 10 minutes into this podcast.
Right. So any news about politics in 2023 is fake in the first telling. All right, here's the second question. If you buy that as a general rule, of course there are exceptions, right? Everything's hyperbole. But generally speaking, how long does it take for the fake news about a political situation to be clarified so that even the people who disagreed with it eventually say, okay, that does look different than what I thought some time ago. What's the general time it takes for a fake story to be clarified accurately? Some say never, but I think the never applies to some people who just can't be convinced. But of the few people who can actually change their mind, I'd say 1 to 5 years. 1 to 5 years. That's the approximate time it takes for a fake news story about politics to evolve into something true. How long did it take before we found out that the 50 signatures on the Hunter laptop document were liars, basically?
Now remember, I know a lot of you knew right from the beginning it was true, but the average person didn't know because they saw all these fake news media promulgate this narrative that it's Russian disinformation, and a lot of people bought it, right? So those of us who paid attention to it knew it was fake, but the average normie didn't. Okay, let him continue.
How long did that take? 2 years, you say? How long did it take to find out that Russia collusion was a hoax? 3 years? Something like that? Yeah. How long did it take for the public to get more complete video about January 6th? A year or two? 2 years?
And that just happened this week. Remember, Tucker Carlson released that video of the QAnon Charmin, the guy who was in jail, is in jail for 4 years, was escorted in by the police and was treated as though he was just a tourist at the facility, and he was very respectful to the police. and said please and thank you and thanked the police for their service, right? That's the insurrection. And that took, what, 2 years?
2 years, right?
There you go.
Yeah. So 1 to 10 years is how long you have to wait to find out if a political story is real. and I would include...
And the same goes for the Freedom Convoy, right? We're only 1 year into this, and people are just starting to realize that they've been sold a bag of goods. And full credit to Diverge Media and War Campaign, they were the first two independent media to say, wait a minute, something doesn't seem right here. Let me start doing some digging, which is what they've been doing, right? And that's only a year out, just over a year out, and that's when they really started doing it.
As a political story, anything about bigotry, because those are political stories. If the public figure is known to be associated with one side, right?
Okay, now he's going to get into his own stuff that he was dealing with, which is really quite funny. So this is why I tell you all this, because I want you all to have hope. I don't want you to be discouraged. I don't want you to think that everything is collapsing and, you know, things aren't going to get better. They are going to get better. And with regards to the Freedom Convoy and what happened, despite the Rouleau Commission and whatever, which is toilet paper, the truth will get out there. Now, if we had leadership with a functioning testicle, if there is an election, which I think there will be soon, and Pierre Poilievre is elected, then hopefully he would have the fortitude to have a royal commission to investigate the Freedom Convoy. But do you think they'll do that? Because it might not make them look very good. But I think it's on all of us to put the pressure on them to make sure that they do. And this is not a left, right-wing issue. This is a truth issue. This also means you can reach out to people on the other side, as Bridget has done this week, and dealt with some people on the exact opposite side to find some common ground. Those people can be our allies when it comes to truth. Not everybody. And also, you know, just like what Adams was talking about here, he said something very important. He just passed over it very quickly. He said, those people who can have their mind changed. Not everybody can. There will be people that no matter what you show them, you should show them evidence right in front of their face. They will slip into cognitive dissonance. They'll go into denial, and they'll be, no, Rebel News told me this. And doesn't matter what you show them, they're emotionally tied to Rebel News. They think it's real, and they will believe it, right? Those people you can't do anything with. But most people, over time, and through repetition of the facts, most people, in my opinion, have the ability to at least change their mind, right? Sounds like a similar thing with UK monarchy and the political sealing of evidence for 50 plus years. Yes, this is why governments always want to seal evidence for such an extended period of time. Because if they seal evidence for a year or 2 years, well, that doesn't help them, right? That just plays right into this, into the strategy of people like myself who know the process of changing people's minds over time. So that's why they need to seal it for 50 years. It's usually 2 generations, right? 2 generations plus, and that's when you can release it. That's why they do it. It's the basic pop psychology, marketing, whatever you want to call it, right? One story most people don't know are all the supporters online trying to find the evidence of the allegations around the convoy. The network of us couldn't find anything except for the arson. Yeah, because it's all fabricated, right? It's all, I mean, that was something occurred in the city that was completely removed from the Freedom Convoy. So the fake news went out of its way to just tie it to the Freedom Convoy, because that's what they do, right? That's why it's not news. It's not there for any of you. Bridget says, you guys are awesome. Thank you for all you do. That's to everybody here in the comments. and everybody who is in the Discord. You guys are all awesome, and thank you. I always wonder if Rebel is getting paid by the JCCF. No, Rebel is working with the JCCF. So Rebel News is Rebel News and the Democracy Fund. That's one entity. That's Ezra Levant. That's Ontario. The JCCF is Calgary. And then there's the other entity, which is True North as well, which, from what I know, received $250,000 from Preston Manning's old organization, the Strong and Free Network. Yeah, that's going to bite them in the ass. But anyways, whatever. I mean, there's good people there. There's good people all over the place. It's the politically corrupt people that are the problem, right? And they haven't learned that. All those whisper campaigns they did against me. Revenge is a dish best served cold. So anyways, but all of you are going to get the truth, which is what matters, right? And okay. So I tell you this because I don't want any of you to get discouraged. You're going to see a whole bunch of people that will. I told you a few months ago when I started this that the attacks against me would escalate, and they did. You saw what Humpty Dumpty and Butthurt Locker Tom did, and a few others. Notice Butthurt Locker Tom has all but disappeared. They're going to replace her with Andy Lee and Eva Chepiak. And you notice this week, what did you see? You saw a picture, and that's not a criticism of Andy Lee, by the way. But what did you see? You saw a picture of Tamara Leach and Andy Lee together, right? That was not a coincidence, right? It is what it is. Okay. I think stack holders should get some skin in the game and join the PC suit. Yeah. Yeah, you know what's very interesting, Bridget, is that organization that is tied to the Conservative Party that was making all of our lives miserable, including Tamara, because Tamara was complaining to me about them every day, which is TBOF, Taking Back Our Freedoms, which turns out that's Brian Peckford's organization, which is crazy, but okay, fine. So they were accepting email transfers for the convoy, right? Why aren't they named in the class action suit? I'd like to know that. Why isn't TBOF named in the class action suit? I mean, they were raising money for us, like GoFundMe was. There are all sorts of political people tied to it. Why aren't they being sued? Should they not be sued? I don't know. I wonder what Paul Champ thinks about that. I mean, if it gets certified, which I'm not sure it's going to. But anyways, that's one thing. Okay, so that's the first video. That is, don't lose hope. This is a game of chess. It's the long game. It's multiple years. I went into this thinking it's 1 to 3 years. I think Scott Adams is probably right. It's probably 1 to 5 years, but that's fine. There's going to be other people are going to be writing books. There's going to be a whole bunch of articles that comes out, videos that will start to call things into question, I'm sure, and add greater clarity for all of you and show how peaceful things were in Ottawa. So, we'll just take time. Bridget, maybe, but I don't want to put that on screen yet. Maybe. Okay. The next video I want to share. Let me get to your comments. Okay, Bridget's going nuts. Bridget, I guess, has finished her training today. Who was the Humpty Dumpty dude? Yeah, that's the cartoonist who doesn't know how to draw cartoons, actually. I think that's the funniest part. I don't know. What am I talking about? Irrelevant people. No. I got to stop talking about people that are completely irrelevant, right? But there are two women in the video I shared that are supporters of in Ottawa that should get a hold of you too. If you know a way to get a hold of them, let me know. One of the things I'm gonna do is because we were neo-Nazi white supremacists, one of the organizations that reached out to me, who I met with, was the Hasidic Jews, the religious Jews in Ottawa, who were strong and strident supporters of the Freedom Convoy, because they did not appreciate the government restricting their ability to what we call daven, but their ability to pray. And so they were very, very thankful for the truckers of coming to Ottawa and pushing back against the government. You know, because obviously I'm a Jewish neo-Nazi, right? Like the clown world. How stupid people are in politics. Like, they're really fucking stupid. Really. Like, shit for brains. It's so much worse than that. Like, that's how dumb these people are. And I'm not just talking about Prime Minister Blackface. So everybody around him. Like, how dumb are these people? Really. They're the dumbest people in society. But, anyways, we're going to get onto them in a second. But, like, really, they're just so pathetic. But this is in relation to that. So some of you know, I'll pivot into this. Some of you know that I'm a serial entrepreneur in a whole bunch of different stuff, and I've always done different projects, and just get interested in stuff and follow up with them and do stuff. So one of the things I do is I produce podcasts, right? And we've made some changes to the podcast that are repertoire, and we've removed a couple and added another and that sort of stuff. But it's kind of an ongoing project that I'm involved with, right? And one of the projects that I produce, one of the podcasts, is a legal podcast called Not on Record. And I showed it to Keith Wilson in Ottawa. And I showed it to him as a signal. Don't fuck around. Don't think I don't know about lawyers and how lawyers operate. I know this business, and I know dirtbag lawyers when I see them, right? But he didn't take the warning, and whatever. It's gonna burn him in the long term. But anyways, so this podcast I produce, Not on Record, is with Joseph Newberger, who's a very seasoned criminal lawyer, and he's become a very good friend, and Diana Davidson, who is a very, very dear friend of mine. Those of you who may know her, she's quite famous on the internet as a men's rights activist, and she has become a legal researcher. She works with Joe at his firm now, and I produce this podcast. Me and I have somebody who I've hired, Max, who does the audio-visual production and stuff. We kind of put this thing together for our little podcast network, and it's really interesting. And by the way, these are not people who necessarily have similar political views as I, but we're all, you know, supportive of each other, listen to each other and talk and all that sort of stuff. So many of the issues and the changes that we see in our political sphere, and many of the things that we were protesting against in Ottawa, have become issues during this podcast. So we saw things in the lens we were using at the Freedom Convoy. I would say it's more the political and economic lens, right? People, truckers out west, saw how the government was destroying the economy. People like Bridget saw that their livelihood was being stripped away from them. And because of that, they mobilized and they acted, okay? So that's the economic stuff. But then there's also what's happening in our legal system and in the courts. And it's really interesting to have friends who were, let's say, former liberals. And I don't mean liberals in the negative way, just more liberal-minded people. And may disagree, but we agree on some things. And see from their eyes what's happening to our legal system and help them put it into a podcast form to warn everybody what is happening to our legal system in Canada. Lisa says they used the convoy footage in the documentary Never Again. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that documentary that is. There are all these documentaries that I hear about that, is that the one that I was in? There was one, a guy interviewed the first press conference. It was me, Tamara, and Chris did a press conference. And then, you know, I've mentioned that interview with Rebel News, that Rebel News buried the number one news story in the world. The exclusive interview with Tamara Leach and myself. We did it for an hour, and then they buried it. And after that, there was a guy who came in, really, really nice guy. Again, opposite side political spectrum, but very, very anti-COVID vaccination mandates, all that sort of stuff. So super good guy, and he understood what I like about people on the other side of the political spectrum, they tend to understand the power and the importance of emotional messaging. That's something that I have in common with people on the other side of the spectrum. And I really do have that. They really do it well, better than I would ever do. And he was so good at this. So he did an interview with myself and with Tamara for his documentary. And I think Never Again might be the one that they changed the name a couple of times. I wonder if that's the documentary you're talking about. If you could send me a link, Lisa. That's the other one. Okay, that's something different. I actually posted during the convoy. I posted her message, a documentary that was made by Holocaust survivor Vera Sharov. And just by the way, like I'm not, most of you and most of my friends and supporters in this whole freedom movement, I'd say the majority are very Christian, often Christian conservatives, evangelical Christians. And what I love is we all respect each other. We may have differences, but I will always support your ability to speak up and push back and vice versa. But, somebody asked me, an evangelical person asked me, said, why are you so determined in pushing back against these mandates in Canada? And I said, well, because I've remembered all the lessons that the majority of the Jewish community seems to have forgotten. By Jewish community, I mean the leftist organizations that just bend over for Trudeau every time they can. I mentioned this one group, CJA, during the protest. That's exactly that. Because we all grew up in elementary school, private school, learning about the Holocaust and learning about what happens when you other people. When it doesn't matter, like when they teach us about the Holocaust and all these Holocaust memorials, they're not supposed to be about Jews. They're supposed to be about people, and a warning to any time any group experiences that sort of discrimination, being othered as somebody different. That's what we were taught in Hebrew school of what was the importance of the Holocaust. Some people don't seem to get that. But anyways, Vera put together a video, which was great, and I released it. I cropped it and posted it on, I think, from Tamara Leach's Twitter account, on her warnings about that exact lesson that I guess elderly people in the Jewish community understand. And the Hasidic community obviously understood that because they were there supporting of us. And it was... Sonia, Ben is very serious tonight. I'm just reflecting on stuff. I mean, she brings up Lisa, it's your fault. You brought up Vera. But anyways, so I was getting to a point with the other video, and I'm getting off track. But so the point is to have, let's pivot back to Trudeau and the warning. The convoy was about the economic damage and the encroachments of freedoms. But we have another battle going on that people like Joseph and Diana are dealing with, which I produce a podcast for, which is what they're doing to our legal system. And I posted this in a tweet, and I'll put it up here. And I posted, and obviously I always make some sort of mistake tweeting because I'm in the truck, I'm stopped somewhere, and I got like 30 seconds to tweet something, and I rush it, and it is what it is. I'm always doing 3 other things at once. But let me put the tweet up, and then I'll put the video up so you guys can see it. Let's see where it is. All right. So, and I've tweeted this to Jordan Peterson. I actually sent it to him in an email as well. 2 alarming civil liberties restrictions implemented by Trudeau Liberals. Jordan Peterson. 1, ending the 300-year-old tradition of preliminary hearings. 2, and I'm going to explain this, defense counsel's ability to screen jurors for bias. Oh, the media didn't tell you? The fake news media didn't tell you that this was going on? You have to listen to Dichter's podcast to find out this is what's happening, and God bless Diana and Joseph for talking about this, because I would never have known this. But I'm going to play this little few-minute segment that will explain on this further. And because I've been on set while we were discussing it, I'll be able to give a little bit more context. So let me play this for all of you, okay? And Sonia, I love you. I'm sorry for being serious. I mean, we're serious, but we're having fun, right? We're all having a glass of wine. The best philosophical conversations happen when we're all getting a little bit tipsy, right? So, all right, here we go.
Try anything in front of a jury, including impaired driving. I think, and to have what they call a bench trial in the United States is insane to them. But they have robust abilities to actually pick a jury, where in Canada, we just look at somebody and go, okay, first 12's fine, whatever. You could be biased. We don't know.
You can't challenge.
No, thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Well, actually,
We can't challenge anybody.
and again,
They're going to be challenged for cause, but we can't pick a jury here properly.
again, the rule for peremptory challenges was abolished
And I don't expect any better from a conservative government, with all due respect.
because of one case of an acquittal in Saskatchewan, right?
We've said this before. It's mind-blowing how in Canada,
case.
because one case which led to an acquittal with the death of an Indigenous young man, which clearly was.
There were complicating circumstances which made it so concerning why the Justice Minister at the time went to Twitter to say that she was disappointed in the verdict, having not actually been at the trial.
Right, look, let's
By
say...
the way, the Justice Minister she's talking about is Jody Wilson-Raybould, that incompetent fool. That's why I get so angry when people celebrate that idiot. That's the only way to describe her. Sorry, go on.
Optically, it was troubling. But you still don't have your Justice Minister and your Prime Minister denigrate the jury, denegate the trial process without having been there, read the transcripts, and been part of it, and then wipe out several hundred years of jury selection process in Canada.
No, interestingly,
Wipe it out.
The challenge to that actually went to Supreme Court was
Show hands.
the accused was an Indigenous person. Was it not?
No.
No, he was
okay.
a person of color.
I know there was one challenge because there were quite a few actually until...
There were, but the one that went to Supreme Court of Canada was a person of color, and the Supreme Court said, yep.
I hate that term, person of color. It's like, has nobody seen the movie Mississippi Burning?
Sure, no problem. We don't have to have any peremptory challenges.
Well,
Let the judge vet them.
Because the argument at the time was that white people will eliminate marginalized community members.
That's bullshit.
And that's
It's just bullshit. It's bullshit. Crown attorneys did not like this, okay? And I can't tell you how many jury trials I did prior to this legislation and prior to the pandemic, where I would talk with the Crown, and the Crown would say, okay, there's somebody there that I don't want on this jury. How about you challenge them and I'll do something for you? You know why? Because we wanted a jury that we thought would be representative of our community, but also able to think through the process, right? So somebody came up and I'm like, with a t-shirt on said, I love weed, the government. Neither of us would want them.
right.
they don't take their job seriously.
Right. We've always wanted a jury. I've always wanted a jury that was mature, experienced, with a diverse experience, both in race and in experience. And that was not dissimilar most of the time to the Crown. So I rarely had an adversarial process with the Crown about selecting a jury. Never was this to try and exclude some identified minority. I really don't know that that's any...
I'll tell you, back in the days when you could have peremptory challenges, we did have...
Can we explain for a moment, because people don't... What's a peremptory challenge?
Peremptory challenge is the defense and the Crown had a number of challenges where you didn't have to give a reason. So you didn't, you looked at the, juror, and you just said, no, I don't want him on my...
Yeah, 'cause
Or there's something about the profession or...
Yeah. So we know very little about potential jurors. We know barely a name. Now we don't even know a name.
No, you know a name
A number. They get a number assigned, and maybe their occupation.
and occupation.
That's it. Okay, so that's all you know. And then the juror comes up, and there's this archaic thing. Juror look upon the accused look upon jury. And they're allegedly supposed to
They
look at
didn't
each
do that
other.
at the last one. The only jury trial I've been to, they actually didn't do that.
Well, they're supposed to.
They're supposed to. And actually, there's a benefit to that because when I and the
I have to apologize for Diana's mic. We were having technical issues that night. But I hope you're following along here, and I think I can end it there. So I think you get the gist of what's going on. So we've all seen in the movies that, I mean, many of us who've watched all these legal movies, that when you're, whether it's or TV shows, Perry Mason or whatever, that there's a jury selection process. So this is number 2 of the 2 points that I raised in my tweet that Joseph and Diana have been talking about on our podcast. Number 2, the defense counsel's ability to screen jurors for bias. Justin Trudeau's administration, because of Jody Wilson-Raybould, has removed that. So now it's just, hey, the juror you get is the jury you get. And there's a, what do you call it, preemptive challenge or something that I don't know the legal technical term for it. But that's it. And if you've watched any of these Hollywood movies, you know they would always screen for bias, especially, the movies are always obsessed with race. So they would give a scene that is in the South and they'd have somebody who's black or a minority as the defendant, and they would try to go through. I'm thinking of a movie, I don't remember what movie it is, and they would screen the jurors to find jurors that don't have any racial prejudicial feelings or biases or whatever, right? You don't have that in Canada anymore. That's it. That's it. Whoever shows up, they can hate you just because they know who you are, and they're just going to want to convict you just because. That's just like, this is the type of thing that would happen in Saddam Hussein's Iraq. That's what Justin Trudeau's administration has brought into Canada. And I say this for Tao, because I know where his mind is at. Where are the conservatives to voice their opinion on that? You notice crickets. They've never told you anything about this. Where's the media? They haven't told you about any of this. You got to find it out from Dichter's podcast that this is going on, sort of thing. Now, the other thing of the two, and this is a severe restriction of civil liberties, the ability to screen jurors for bias has been stripped from you in a Western country? What the fuck? As Joseph said when we bleeped him out, right? And the point number 1, so that's not point number 2. I want to double back to point number 1 here. And point number 1 is even more concerning, or equally concerning, which is, oops. Shoot. I just lost locals. Shoot. I wonder if I can find it here. Well, I'll have to stick here. Point number 1. I wonder if I can boot this up and start this again. Give me 1 second. I'm going to finish this rant because it's not going anywhere. This is a long-term rant. This has been on my mind for a while. Let me try this. Hold on. Honking for Freedom. Yes, I can do this. I can go locals.com and I'll just start another stream right now. Wait, let me just... no, we got nothing but technical problems tonight, eh? Boom. Wait 1 second. Live stream. Oops. Wait, we are live streaming. Wait. Let's leave. Shoot. Okay. Am I here? Allow. Okay, so hopefully... All right, I think we're still, we're still live on locals. Okay, so that was point number 2, which was the Trudeau government removing our ability to screen jurors, okay? Andrea, buenas noches, how are you? Andrea just joined us from Chile. So, Andrea, what I've just been talking about, I just showed this video from Not on Record, where Joseph and Diana were explaining that one of the many changes that the Trudeau communist extremist fucktards brought into Canada was they removed the ability for defense counsel to screen jurors in a criminal trial. Think about that. And that's not, as I explained, Saddam Hussein's Iraq. It's not Saddam Hussein's Iraq. This is in Canada, that they removed the ability for defense counsel to screen jurors, right? There is a little bit of wiggle room, but not what it used to be, okay? Too much wine? What do you mean too much wine? Am I tipsy? No, I'm not. Okay, so let me get into point number 1 here, okay? So point number 1, which was in my tweet. So I'll read the tweet again. 2 alarming civil liberty restrictions implemented by Trudeau Liberals. 1, an end to the 300-year-old tradition of preliminary hearings. That's right. The tradition, and I can explain that in a second, but the tradition of preliminary hearings is twice as old as the country of Canada in British common law. Like, think about that. Now, what is a preliminary hearing? A preliminary hearing, the idea is, like, we're going through this with the class action suit in Ottawa, that it's not certified. It's similar to that, although a lawyer will yell at me when I say that because they'll say it isn't. But Ben's wine is getting to me. Sonia, I love you. You're the best. So the what's it called? The tradition of preliminary hearings is this: somebody makes a false accusation. That false accusation goes in front of a judge. And then the judge, I think it's a scheduling judge, if I'm not mistaken, but I might be wrong. I'm still learning. The judge determines if the case even has merit. And if the case doesn't have merit, the judge will look at the evidence provided and say, yeah, this is a frivolous lawsuit. We're not going to waste the court's time with this. I'm throwing it out. That's what a preliminary hearing is for. Now, we still have preliminary hearings in the case of, I think it's limited to violent crime, if I'm not mistaken, like murders and stuff like that. But they've stripped us of the right. Trudeau has stripped us, Jody Wilson-Raybould, because she was the Attorney General, that idiot, stripped us of the right, the 300-year-old tradition in British common law, to have a preliminary hearing. Why? Now, you're thinking, why would they do that? Are they just evil? I mean, yeah, maybe they are. Are they incompetent? Yes, probably they are that too. But there is one specific reason that in Canada, Jody Wilson-Raybould and the Trudeau administration stripped people of their right of preliminary hearings, except with the case of murders and extreme violent crime. Do you know what the reason is? Can somebody guess? If you can guess, put it in the comments. Why do you think that Trudeau and Jody Wilson-Raybould stripped us of our ability to have preliminary hearings in a Western democracy built on British common law? What do you think they did that for? What was the reason? Hey, Shara, hola, how are you? Okay, everybody's talking back and forth. Problems and equal measures on both going on there. Yeah, maybe. That's not it. Andrea, anything and everything is possible in Canada. Yeah, definitely in the justice system. I am no DJ Productions says control. No, that's not the reason. And Lisa says the same thing, to control. That the reason they stripped us of preliminary hearings is for control. So that's good. Something to do with China's inspiration. So that just tells me nobody knows, because your answers are all over the map, so you don't know, which is good, which is what I wanted. The reason Jody Wilson-Raybould and Justin Trudeau stripped Canadians of the right of preliminary hearings, and the Conservatives have said nothing on this issue. The reason they did that was to increase the number of Me Too convictions. That's why. Social justice in the courtroom. So if you have a child that goes to university in Canada and is unlucky enough, and we talked about this in one of our episodes, you know, some girl was doing hanky-panky with some guy, and the guy was like, I'm not really, interested so much and whatever. And I don't know, I don't want this to go anywhere. So she was insulted, and she left, and she filed a sexual assault claim, a Me Too claim on him. What she omitted in her claim was after that guy threw her out of the tent or told her, I'm not interested in you, she went to another campsite and made out with another kid all night long, but she didn't file any Me Too complaint against him. So if you have a child who is going to university in Canada, who somehow gets tied up in this sort of nonsense, the vitriol of our modern dating culture, which can be quite aggressive with younger people, with younger men and younger women as well. And they, for some reason, get a false Me Too allegation. Your child has now been stripped of the right of a preliminary hearing, and if it goes to trial and it's by jury, the right to screen his or her jurors for bias, to artificially inflate the conviction rate and to ensure more wrongful convictions in Canada's judicial system. That's what's happened. Boy, have we gone far from the days of Reuben Carter. Hopefully some of you understand that reference. That's what's happening in Canada right now. And while the Conservatives will say Justin Trudeau is a tyrant, what have they done on this? Have they run any campaigns to explain to you that Justin Trudeau is stripping you of your basic civil liberties and exactly how he's doing that? I haven't seen anything. If they have, great. If somebody's brought it up, great. Please share it with me. But that's where we are. Reuben Carter, The Hurricane. That's right. Made very popular by the Bob Dylan song, Hurricane, which I used to play when I was much younger. The Me Too environment is horrid. Well, the Me Too environment is postmodernism. That's oppressor versus oppressed. That's why understanding the philosophy of postmodernism is so important. That's why I produce a podcast for Stephen Hicks, who wrote the book Explaining Postmodernism. See how these things I do are all tied together in some way? Now does it all make sense? But it's really important, because when you understand the philosophy of these people, then A, they're not scary, and B, you can predict them so easily. You can predict them not 1 step or 2 steps ahead. You can predict them 5 steps ahead, right? And that's why I wanted to build that product for everybody so you understand it. So you can see it with Joseph Neuberger and Diana as they dissect every week what's happening in our court system as this toxic philosophy is getting into our court system and spreading like cancer. And Stephen Hicks explains the origins of it and how to see it and how to predict it, and also how to explain it to others, right? Avro, great question to ask CPC candidates when the election kicks off. Exactly. That's why I want to do this. And that's why they don't like me, because I'm not a team player, is what they always say. Dichter's not a team player. No, Dichter's team is the truth. That's my team. If you're on Team Truth, we're on the same team, you know? Tao says, also a good question for Pierre Poilievre. What is his strategy to hold office for 150 years to keep invoking notwithstanding clauses to keep mass murderers in jail. Yeah, true. And you know, if somebody is watching this and is tied to the Conservative Party, if you're smart, much like I'm always 5 steps ahead of you, you can be a couple of steps ahead and say, hey, Dichter's actually given us something concrete, a specific example that Neuberger and Diana Davison have been talking about for a year, that this is something we should put in our messaging. You want to show leadership in the Conservative Party, then tackle this issue and show specifically, instead of just saying, you know, freedom and Justin Trudeau bad, how about saying this is exactly how Justin Trudeau has stripped people of their freedoms. I don't need credit for it. You don't give me credit anyways. You're always stabbing me in the back. I don't care about the credit. But start talking about this issue. This is important. This really is. Hitch wants to have fun tonight. And if telling the truth makes us a bunch of ditched heads, then so be it. Yeah, is that what we're gonna call it? The ditched army? That's what we'll call the Discord. It's gonna be the Dichter army or the ditched army. I don't know. I mean, listen, I'm just one guy, right? You guys are what's important. You know what they say, a general without an army is a fool, right? I just have certain ideas and certain opinions that I've tried to build these platforms to try to help inform people. There's other platforms I'm involved with as well that people don't know I'm involved with, that I've also been trying to get these sorts of things on people's radars. And that's why I go back to Scott Adams' comment. How long does it take until the record is corrected on a political issue? 1 to 5 years. And the other issue, why is legacy media afraid of me? Like, I probably wouldn't talk to them anyways, but they don't even try to reach out to me because I'm dangerous. What happens if I challenge a journalist in a live feed on this issue? And these are just 2. I mean, there's so many more issues I know like this that I could pull out of a can as I've been watching all our freedoms be stripped over the past several years. These are some of the things that Tamara and I used to talk about. Not just Tamara, I spoke to so many other people about these issues leading up to the convoy. So when they said there were many grievances around the Freedom Convoy, the government was right about that. But if we had to encapsulate it around one word, that word would be freedom. But I'm going to continue over time showing you examples, specific and concrete examples, exactly how they're stripping you of your freedoms. Can you imagine that? Like, I don't have kids yet, okay? But I can imagine having a child who is, listen, it's no secret when I was younger or even now, there's no secret I like girls, okay? There's no secret. And I was pretty popular with girls. Could imagine going in to that atmosphere in university or post-secondary school with the toxicity of Me Too, knowing that now you don't have the right to preliminary hearing and you won't be able to screen your juries if you have a jury trial. Like, this is crazy. This has got to stop. And the Conservatives need to do something more than just Trudeau bad. They need to give us concrete examples. They want to inspire people, that's how they'll do it, right? Hopefully they'll find some wisdom and they'll listen. What am I saying? Of course they won't. Of course they won't. They never do. All right. I saw the video of the police in France join the people's side. There was a little bit of that going on in Ottawa. And you know what, Sonia? I saw that and I thought, wow, they are so lucky in Ottawa that we were as peaceful and loving as we were, and that we intentionally went in with an attitude to not be confrontational to the people in the city of Ottawa and just focus on the government. But they still fucked us, right? With this class action lawfare harassment suit. So what is the standard they're trying to make now? If you have a protest in Ottawa, make sure to burn the city, because no matter what, they're still going to try to put you up in front of the firing squad. Like, is that what they're trying to say? Like, it makes no sense. It's so dumb. Again, people in politics, Not all of them. There's a few very, very smart people. One of which I'm thinking about her right now. There's a few of those. But most of them are some of the dumbest people you ever meet. You know, and you see what's happening with Freedom Convoy. That's a perfect example of it. Okay, keeping the streets cleaner and safer than they have been in years. And it was awesome. It was so good. I remember when I drove back in on... I have some pictures of it. It's the day I took the pictures at the Ark Hotel after I had the car accident. And I went on Stephen Crowder when I was being driven back into the city. And I actually took some video of it. I have it in my iPhoto of truckers on with their snow shovels shoveling the sidewalk and cleaning up the streets. And I'm like, peace, love, unity, and freedom. It works, man. Like, these guys all get it. They all understand, you know? Truckers are not dumb people. And we all saw what happened in January 6th and how the government used people as pawns to destroy them. And we weren't going to allow them to do it in Ottawa. But our government still tried and failed miserably, even with that Rouleau Wilson toilet paper, right? The iconic cafe should join the suit and name Jim Watson as a defendant. The iconic cafe has shut down, from what I understand. They were forced to close. The company that held the lease on the office, on their establishment, terminated their lease. Convoy was peaceful. It was amazing. And you wait. I promise you one thing. As I mentioned, the 1 to 3 year, or as Scott Adams said, the 1 to 5 year strategy to correct the record on a political issue, which this was, I promise you, in 20 years, the world is going to have a completely different view of the Freedom Convoy. The complete opposite of what you see in that Rouleau toilet paper. I promise you. BJdichter, you sound better. Hope you recovered from that awful cold. Well, it was a cold. It wasn't COVID because I'm vaccinated, so it couldn't have been COVID. I think I was just really tired. Today was another day. I've just been dealing with so much on my mind, so much to deal with, and just really busy with a multitude of things all at once. And sometimes if you don't pace yourself enough, you can burn out a little bit. And I could tell today I was starting to burn out. I need a couple of days to be a little bit more relaxed than I've been for the past, 2 years. I know DG Productions. Yep, went a few times on Canada Day, and was up to my knees in the sort of speak in trash. While the convoy was there, the area was spotless. That struck me first. Yeah, so the first thing you realized how clean it was. It was listen. When you're a trucker and you're at a place like I was this week and you're waiting to be loaded and sometimes there's delays, what are you doing? You're cleaning your truck. You're cleaning the inside. Sometimes you're polishing chrome. I started working on my bull bar, started polishing it for the summer. Like, you do things to keep you busy, right? I often open up my laptop and start working, but yeah, I needed to turn off this week. And I actually, when that place that I was there for 6 hours, I arrived. My brother was there with his truck. Because my brother calls me up and he's like, "Hey, listen, the lineup is ridiculous. I've been here for 2 hours, and they haven't even put me in a door yet. So we're gonna be here all day. There's a trucker whose battery died, and he needs a boost. Can you help him?" And he said, I'm in line in front of the doors. I can't get away to go help him. Can you go help him? So I said, yeah, sure. I'll go. I go help him. So I checked in, grabbed my truck, and parked my trailer like in a whole line of, there was like 20 trucks in line. I parked my truck, unhooked from my trailer, grabbed my brother's cables, and went down to basically the far end of the complex at the entrance where this guy's truck died. And I've never seen a car or truck that the battery was that dead. It took us a good 25 minutes to get him jumped. And I did. A nice guy from New Jersey, Puerto Rican guy, a boxer. He's actually following me on Instagram now. If you're on Instagram, by the way, BJdichter, at BJdichter on Instagram. And, you know, you could tell when you see people and they're like up against the wall. There's a lot of things going in their life that are not really helping them, should we say. They're struggling a little bit. And he said to me, he said, man, you and your brother are the nicest guys. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, I asked 4 other drivers for help if they would boost me, and I told them I had cables. None of them would help me. And he said, you were the first ones. He said, your brother actually walked out to see, saw I was sitting there. He walked over to me. He walked the whole like complex and said, hey, are you okay? Do you need a help? Do you need a hand? My brother's a police officer, so he's used to seeing people that are in a jam. And he said, yeah, my truck is dead, and I got to get back to Jersey. This is a temporary truck. My actual truck is in service and whatever. And he said, and you guys came to help me. And I'm like, yeah, well, this is something I try to talk about, like when I do live streams once in a while. I didn't get into too much detail. And I try to tell people about reciprocity and helping people, and that it makes you feel better. And when you do things for other people, it puts you at peace, and it also has an effect on other people's lives as well, which is what the Freedom Convoy was for me. It was trying to help many of you have a voice to push back against the government. Listen, I could have gone, like, I didn't like this stuff. It was, for me, it was really the data collection and the ArriveCan app that really got under my skin. But I wanted to help all of you, and I'm glad that I did. It's been an interesting year, but I've met a lot of good people, good friends, and Herbert Hildebrand is here watching on TikTok, and he's one of those good people that was there, did so much for us during the convoy. And his son, who was, I think, 12 years old or 14 years old, who set up the cameras to do all the interviews on GB News and on Fox News and Newsmax and stuff like that. Like, we're going to talk more and more about it, especially as you see in Diverge Media and War Campaign, National Telegraph, and some others as well, who are digging into, you know, the nonsense that went on during the convoy and the political saboteurs who got involved. But all of that is noise. That's important noise. We need to address it. But all of us coming together and supporting each other, that was an amazing moment in my life. It really, and I hope it was for you too. I really do. Anyways, and as we opened in this, if you know somebody who needs to read about that amazing moment, this is the way to do it. And I'm glad that Avril logged on when we started and ordered the book. I'm excited to see what Avril thinks about it. And I see, Lisa, you're still here, the very first person. Lisa, you are forever going to be etched in my mind, because I don't know how you read the book, like within hours of it coming out, but I will always remember that, and I will always be in your debt for doing that. That really made my day, and I really appreciate it. Avril, I was proud to be Canadian in that moment. Well, you should still be proud, because despite the squatters in our political class that have corrupted our political apparatuses, for now, we are still Canadian. I do remember, I will always remember, and I want to figure out over time. First, you got to deal with a bunch of issues. Okay, fine. But over time, I want to continue what we achieved during the convoy, which was bringing Western Canada, Saskatchewan, and Alberta, and Quebec together. I think there's something there. I saw that spark, and I saw how people were getting along. And maybe because I'm in Ontario and I grew up having family in Alberta, but I also loved going to Quebec. I feel like there's something there we can build upon, that we don't allow our political class to exploit it any further. But that's another secondary project we'll deal with over time. Okay, anyways, I think that's it for tonight. We've been going for, I don't know how long, well, an hour and 34 minutes. Okay, that's too long. No one, I only had a glass and a half, so that's not a lot. I pre-ordered on, Lisa says about the book. I pre-ordered on Kobo, got the notification it was available. I started reading right away. Lisa, I can't wait to thank you in person. I really, and all of you, I am looking forward to thanking you in person. And so the last thing, so Lisa is now in the Discord as well. You just joined a few days ago. I think we're up to the first 50 people, and now I'm reaching out to a couple of people to be moderators. By the way, Lisa, if you would like to be a moderator in one of the channels, let me know. We're doing that just to ensure that everybody's respectful. We don't have any issues with trolls and stuff like that. But if you'd like to be a moderator, let me know. And once we get enough moderators, then we're going to open up, Tao and I are going to open up the Discord to a lot of people. Lisa, get your ass out to BC. I would love to. And you know what? I got a bunch of truckers I have to meet that are northern and central BC. I keep promising I got to get to see them. So that is on the to-do list for this summer. And we will be together. I promise we'll get together and we'll have a night. We'll go to a pub. We'll drink, whatever it is. And I will make that happen. So don't worry. Angel Fire, do you still want me to be a moderator? Yes, I do, actually. So I just sent a private message to Hitchhiker. And I'm going to send you one as well to follow up for you to be a moderator for one of the channels. And if we have like one person for each channel, then we know we're not going to have to deal with people who are disrespectful and that sort of nonsense. It's not that we're not going to disagree. We want that. But we don't want to have the same sort of toxicity that sometimes occurs in the political space and Twitter. So that's basically it. Let me know. I'll be there with my book and pen. I would love to sign your book. That would be amazing. Okay, Sonia, as always, Andrea, buenas noches y sueños dulces a ti también. Es muy tarde allá, pero un beso gigante. And Sonia says, good night to all. Peace, love, freedom, hope, and unity. I couldn't have said it better myself. All right, you're all awesome. I love you all, and we'll talk to you soon. I gotta run.